بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. يسعدنا اليوم وفي هذه الجلسة المباركة للمؤتمر العالمي الأول للتعليم المفتوح أن تعقد جلستها الثانية بعنوان تقنيات وأساليب التعليم المفتوح ومتطلبات وموارد التعلم. ومما لا شك فيه أن تقدم مجال تقنيات المعلومات ركيزة مهمة في تطور المنظومات التعليمية الحديثة وتعدد الابتكارات فيها، وليس من المغالاة في شيء القول بأن التقنيات التربوية التعليمية التي أرست أسسها في العقد الأخير من القرن العشرين مسبقاً والقرن الحادي والعشرين، والتي تعتبر خلاصة جهود المفكرين والعلماء وثمرة أبحاثهم الطويلة، سيكون لها الدور الأكثر تعاظماً في تخطيط برامج التعليم مستقبلاً. وفي جلستنا هذه الثانية سيتم تسليط الضوء على محاور يتضمن هذه الجلسة في محاوره تبيان بيئات التعليم المفتوح وأدوات ونظم التعليم المفتوح وواجهات الاستخدام الذكية ونظم إدارة التعلم، وكذلك التعليم المفتوح، الأمن والخصوصية وتقويم الطالب في نظام التعليم المفتوح. ثم سيتم تسليط الضوء على النزاهة الأكاديمية، حالات الغش وكيفية محاربتها، بيئات التعليم المفتوح الموزعة، وأخيراً الإعاقة وصعوبات التعلم. وسنستضيف في هذه الجلسة الدكتورة دينيس وايتلوك من المملكة المتحدة، وستتحدث في تعزيز التعليم المفتوح من دروس الفيديو التعليمية والفصول الدراسية الافتراضية، عن دراسة حالة من الجامعة العربية المفتوحة. وكذلك سيكون متحدثنا الثاني الدكتور أميرة فؤاد من جمهورية مصر العربية، وستتحدث عن استخدام الكمبيوتر في مقررات تطوير الكتابة، أو عفواً عن تعزيز كفاءة المحادثة في اللغة الإنجليزية عن طريق تقنية التعرف على الكلام. ومتحدثنا الثالث سيكون استخدام الكمبيوتر في مقررات تطوير الكتابة، الدكتور يوسف شدوح. وسنبدأ بتعزيز التعليم المفتوح مع دروس الفيديو التعليمية والفصول الدراسية الافتراضية، دراسة BC شيرمون من الجامعة العربية المفتوحة في عمان. نبدأ بداية بالبروفيسور دينيس وايتلوك. طبعا الأستاذة دينيس وايتلوك الأستاذة الدكتورة من الجامعة العربية المفتوحة، أستاذة التكنولوجيا والتعليم في المؤسسة التربوية التكنولوجية في الجامعة العربية في الجامعة المفتوحة، ولديها من الخبرة ما يقارب من 20 عام في مجال التصميم والبحث والتقييم للتعلم المعتمد على الحاسب الآلي في التعليم العالي. لديها ورقة مشتركة عن كتابة المقالات في نظام التعلم عن بعد ونظام التغذية الاسترجاعية، وأعتقد لحد الآن هي ما حضرت. موجودة الدكتورة؟ أوكي. عندنا اسم هني.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be with you this afternoon and to share some of the research findings of a current project taking place at the Open University. This project, SafeSea, was funded by the EPSRC, and we're working in close collaboration with Oxford University, the experts in natural language processing. The context for this research is to help build a system to help students write their essays. And when they give in their first assignment, they're not given actually any support with writing that essay. And if you think that you've come to the university maybe to take a master's degree after 10 years, and you haven't had, written anything for 10 years, or you've come to us, without a lot of formal qualifications, wouldn't it be good if we could provide some sort of support for that essay writing activity that's going to be examined and is going to gain marks for the students? And we know that if the students don't give in the first assignment, they tend to drop out. So there's the context for the research. Now, we know about assessments. There are all different types of assessments. And we at the university have given multiple choice questions years ago that we used to mark with optical mark readers. We know that there are tests that can be given on computers that are very valid. And, even the entrance exam at Cambridge, the thinking skills, takes place with a computer assessment. And you think, why do they want to do that? But what happened was, at one stage, that two students had the same marks, had answered in the same way, incorrectly, and they thought they were cheating. But when they looked at the logs of how they'd answered the questions were answered in a completely different order. And so both students got through. And of course, what do? We ask our students to type their assignments, and then we ask them to sit in examination halls and write their assignments. And Edinburgh University is looking very seriously at students typing their exams because they say their handwriting has got so bad now. But what I want to say is that, it's all very well with learning design, and we do this at the Open University, as Professor Blackman was saying, and we do our very best. But don't forget, we're dealing with humans. An assessment is tough, and it provokes an emotional response. And these are some of the drawings that students made at Robert Gordon University when, let me show you the last one, which is even more dramatic. This was Chris McKillop's thesis about, how tough it is to be assessed, and sometimes how tough it is to receive meaningful feedback. So bearing that in mind, what are the strengths that I think are really for computer feedback? And I know from my own research, that computers are non-judgmental in a sense that, if you get some feedback, it's not the tutor giving you that feedback who's going to mark your assignment, who's going to judge you. You can try many times with a computer and get some more feedback. But you can think about it, go back, and maybe start to formulate questions, which can lead to more contact with tutors. And by that, I think that, if we really do well with our technology, the role of the tutor is going to change, because you know yourselves, when you're novices, you'll start to learn in a new area. And the tutor says, or someone says to you, have you got any questions? Well, you don't know enough to ask any questions, because you don't even know what you don't know at that stage. So giving feedback that can promote dialogue, I think, is very important. And so this system is about formative feedback, formative assessment. And why should we be so concerned about formative assessment, and computers can actually do this rather well, is that if we look at Black and Williams' work, where they did the meta-analysis of formative assessment, and they looked at many, many studies, you can see here that, the mean effect size on standardized test is between 0.4 and 0.7 when there's formative assessment. That is a major result. And we also know that it's particularly effective for students who've not done well at school, and of course some of our population are students of that nature. And that can keep students to timescale. And what I think is more important is we've got to become self-regulators when we're learning. We need the feedback to be able to deal with what we need to do, and to be able to do that for ourselves after a while, and that we can enter into some sort of discourse, meaningful discourse with our tutors. Let me show you Open Essayist. So this is the system we've built. It's made up of two parts. There's an essay analyzer, which does the analysis using Python, and that's the natural language processing. And then there is the front end that the students will use, which we're building and putting everything in together at the Open University, so that it's a web device. Now, what does the linguistic engine do? What it does is it provides different types of summaries. And what's important, and what was important for me, was that if I can understand something, if you tell me something, and I do really understand it, I can actually say it back to you. So what if the system looks at your essay and says, here's a summary. Here are the key points that you've made. Is that what you really wanted to do? But for the purpose of the talk today and the paper that's in the proceedings, what I'm going to talk about are the external visualizations that we can give the student from the analysis, and how they can start to understand those visualizations. So we did a small study, a pilot study, with some equal males and females, students who'd written essays, and some tutors who'd written essay questions. And we found that they understood and were very happy that we presented, first of all, the analysis with the introduction, the main text, and the conclusion. And the question that goes with this says, is this introduction long enough? Is it what you wanted to say? What about the conclusion? Are you actually putting together and summarizing what you had in the essay? Also, this is the first representation, which is a very good check, because if this is actually providing the correct information, then the student can have confidence that the rest of the representations that is going to be shown are going to be meaningful and help them. So they're given a summary of the key sentences, and then they're given keywords. But I think one of our speakers this morning put up the Chinese proverb that, it's all very well being told something and then being taught something, but if you can interact with it, then perhaps you've got a chance of moving forward. So here the keywords are shown, and they can be grouped into different areas, new categories. And you can start to group them, think about them, and then think about how those groups of words, they're all saying the same thing, how are they appearing in your essay? And then here's our mashup, where you can go back and see the key words, the key sentences in the actual essay, where they appear after you've done some of the tasks. But more importantly, what we put together was to let the students know how many words they'd used at this current stage of the drafting and the distribution of the words in the text with the introduction, discussion, and conclusions. And we know that we put word limits on tasks. Why do we do that? Very important that you write to the word limit, and perhaps sometimes when you're drafting you forget that. Now, here's one of the representations that we produced. It was a keyword spring, and you can actually pull the words, the keywords out, see how they're connected, and they fall back together. Now, we didn't have to do a lot of work to produce the following representations because they're in open libraries. And I think there's a great warning to open libraries. You know, you can find all sorts of things that you can put into systems, but are they meaningful? And so we then moved and produced this chord diagram. And in fact, you're probably not surprised that the students didn't make much of this one. And they certainly didn't make much of the key sentence adjacency matrix, but it didn't cost us much in programming to see what we could do. So there's a problem then. We've got some visualizations, they're not very meaningful. What we're going to do. And I'm going to talk about something that we've just done. It's not in the paper, where Oxford have produced, and I think this is very exciting, some rainbow diagrams. Let me show you what a rainbow diagram does. Here's some text. We've got some 8 sentences. Notice that some of them, you know, one of them, number 2 is violet, and number 8 is in red, because you'll notice that in the next diagram. So we've got some text. Open Essayist does something with the text. What it does in these rainbow diagrams, it has a series of nodes. It shows you how those sentences are connected, and it shows you the links between those sentences. Now, here we've got an example of an essay that had a high grade. Now, the violet colour represents the introduction, and the red dots are the conclusions, and the colours in between in the rainbow show the supporting evidence. Now, what's interesting here is that, as you'd expect from a good essay, the introduction, the conclusion, are all supported with what's going on in the text. But you can see that there are some areas of discussion that seem to be outside, and we could go and look at those because they don't seem to be as relevant or as connected as the others, and we could go and see what we were saying there and maybe correct. Now let's look at the low grade. Now, when you look at the low grade, you see how less connected the nodes, the key areas of discussion are, and the violet and the reds are not necessarily that central. Have I gone too far? Now,
Dr. Dennis, you have just 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. This is an award-winning essay. Look, you can see quickly how well connected everything is. And here's where we put in 50 identical sentences. Look at the difference there. And look at the 10 identical paragraphs. Now, we were very excited about this because we thought we could, and I've actually tried this now with students, paper and pencil, to see if they could start to identify the essays. And what I think is interesting about these representations is that we don't have to give students real essays, real answers to help them. This is context independent, and they can start to see and think about their own work. Now, as as this was a research paper, how does this all fit into the big research context? I think it does, in that we're now in a time of big data, analysis of big data, and how we visualize that data, which is going to become of paramount importance. And it's not an easy task to visualize and make meaningful. And also for me, I want that data to be open models, so that the student themselves can see and work with that data. And so what my long-term goal is to help to create these teaching and learning dialogues, so that the students themselves can learn to judge their own work. But also, in a way, it is an emotional response, often learning. Learning is hard. So that our systems can provide some reassurance. But more importantly, I think, is to provide a variety of ways, because we learn differently. We all don't get the point at exactly the same time with the same sorts of representations. And that if we can use and harness the computer, which isn't too smart, we know that, to provide a variety of signposted routes to achieve the learning goals, I think we're on the way to doing something to support our students who are distant and not with us all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you دكتور دينيتس. الآن طبعا ننتقل إلى الورقة الثانية، وهي ورقة للدكتور بي.سي. شيرمون من عمان. طبعا السيد شيرمون عضو هيئة التدريس في دراسات الحاسب الآلي في الجامعة العربية المفتوحة في مسقط بسلطنة عمان. لديه ماجستير في تطبيقات الحاسب الآلي من جامعة مدارس الهند. دراسته تدور حول تعزيز التعليم المفتوح مع دروس الفيديو التعليمية والفصول الدراسية الافتراضية، دراسة حالة من الجامعة العربية المفتوحة. طبعا احنا راح نفتح باب النقاش بعد الانتهاء من اوراق المقدمة، فنترك المجال للدكتور الآن بي.سي. شيرمون. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everybody. I'm Shariman from Arab Open University Oman branch. I would like to share my experience and research regarding the need of video tutorials and online classrooms by the on tutor regarding the courses. I would like to explain this in my agenda today. I would like to talk about AOE Oman branch a little bit. Then blended learning, of course, we are in that mode. What are the challenges we are facing in this mode of study? And our proposed solutions. We are proposing two solutions. One is the video tutorials by on tutor, by the course tutor itself, and online virtual classrooms. And how we implementation, our results and recommendations, then conclusion and future work. AOE Oman. Oman is one of the largest countries in GCC geographically, and the university headquarters is in Muscat. We have students from various parts of Oman. It is, some of the cities are 200 kilometer, 300 kilometer, and the northern province of Oman, which is called Salalah, approximately 1,000 kilometers away from the university. So we have a special session for the students from Salalah. It is called monthly sessions. Students are traveling 1,000 kilometers in flight, and they are coming once in a month. We have to cover all the materials and topics. So regarding the strength of our students, we have approximately around 1,971 students, and around 500 students are coming, approximately 300 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers. And we are following, as AOU family, we are following the blended learning. We have the combination of face-to-face tutorial, printed materials and other IT-enabled services, plus LMS we are using. We have the challenges. Which are our challenges? One of our main challenges, the students are working students. They have pressure because they are working, at the same time they are studying. Travel, as I already mentioned, that travel is one of the main problems. The students, those who are working in the ministry, maybe they finish their work at 2:30 or 3, and they can come to the university after a rest. But in the case of the private sector students, those who are working in the private companies, they are really struggling to come to the classes at the evening, 5 to 7 and 7 to 9. And travel is one of our challenges. And capability to adapt to the system, because in open learning, compared to the traditional system, the face-to-face tutorial is less. And students, some of the courses is a bit difficult for the students, some of the students, and they really struggle to cope up with the system. Of course, they are not children, they are adults, they have family, they have social life, they have family life. All these things we have to consider in the case of this mode of learning. And language. Some of the students, our tutorials are everything in English, our books are in English, and some students, they feel difficulty by studying by themselves, little bit difficulty is there. And unfortunately, sometimes the classes will be cancelled because of the weather conditions or holidays. All these situations, we have to compensate the classes. So what are the solutions? We would like to propose 2 solutions. And we made a case study, a small research in this one. And I chose a course which is called M359 from Open University, database course. It is one of the challenging level 3 course. I'm not telling you the course is difficult, but the content wise, maybe IT faculty members, they know that. It's more content. We are starting with the basics of database and up to the XML database we are teaching in this one. And I made this study in spring semester, and during the midterm examination, the result was not that much encouraging in the midterm examination. And I was thinking how I can improve that. I called the students for extra sessions to just help them. But the problem during the extra session, only the convenient time, which is 3 to 5, and unfortunately, the working class students, it is a bit difficult to attend the class because either they have class evening 5 to 7 or 7 to 9. So we cannot plan a class during the night or evening sessions. And the attendance was not that much encouraging for me. Then we thought about the video tutorial. Even university have, we think about the video tutorial for the students. The video tutorial can solve some of the challenges because time is not a problem. They can watch the tutorial as per their convenient time. And we can make more interesting one. Also, they can watch the video any number of times. Sometimes, even during the class, in our face-to-face classes, maybe I don't think so. Students can listen more than 20 or 25 minutes in a span. But when they see the video tutorial, they can have their own convenient time. They can choose according to their mood or their mental situation. All these things they can consider, and I think they can manage that way. Then we suggest my students, database is very popular subject in IT, and I told my students there are so many video tutorials available from our channels also. But we felt that most of the videos are not specifically for the students' need because it is general and it is not for the course. And sometimes it is complex to understand. Language is also maybe sometimes we felt a problem. So in that time, I thought we have to prepare our own video tutorial because there is a psychological reason is that because my students know about me, they know my accent, they know my way. There is an attachment between the tutor and the students. When I say them, you just go use another video from maybe another branch or even another country or another way, they will be always, I feel they will be comfortable with my video if I can give because there's an attachment, a psychological attachment between the tutor and the students. I could use that factor. This was my thinking. And I can focus on my students because I know my students than anybody. So I can focus on their need and I can prepare my own tutorial. And I made a survey because when I am implementing something, I thought of just giving a survey. And it was really encouraging, and it is interesting that around more than 90% of the students are using smartphones. They are usually using it for either messaging and or just calling or WhatsApp or Vibering or such kinds of application. I thought why we can use it for the study purpose in a better way. And majority of the students, more than 90%, is having internet connection with the laptop also, and some of them are using video tutorials, and they all agreed we are happy to have a tutorial by the tutor. Then we did the implementation using Camtasia Studio. Fortunately, we got a funded project in Oman branch, and from that project we bought the software which is called Camtasia Studio. I feel this is one of the really interesting tool which we can use to prepare our own tutorial, because when we are shooting our class, a face-to-face class, and just uploading in the YouTube, I don't think so it will solve the problem, because when we are making a tutorial, video tutorial using the animations and graphics with all the facilities of IT, we can prepare wonderful tutorial, and we can talk, we can show our face to the students in a way in one corner, we can use all the IT enabled services in that, and editing is also one of the very important. I was using Snagit before, but there was no editing option. But in Camtasia, because recording is a problem, because if I am planning a 1 hour class, suppose at the middle, maybe 30 minutes, if I am recording in my house, if a cat is making a sound, or even a car is running, it will disturb the video. But no problem at all. I can simply cut, I can edit that part, and I can divide my tutorial into sessions, I can upload directly to the YouTube. And what is the limitations? Again, the problem is not solved with that, because it's like a radio. Video tutorial is like a radio. It's one way talking. And students, if they want to ask questions to me, they have to come to me, they have to call me. But during exam time, I feel it difficulty for them also. How we can solve it? Then we thought about the online virtual classes, which is wonderful platforms are available. We bought one more software which is called VisIQ, and I am using VisIQ. This is specifically designed for virtual platforms, and you can plan your class ahead. Maybe I can inform my students that there will be a class on next week, and it's location independent. The students can be anywhere, as I mentioned previously, because they are adult, their family and social life. I can tell my students, you go to the beach, and maybe if you are on the beach with your children, let them play there, you can attend my classes. And some of my students, they will be abroad, and we have because those who are working in the police and other intelligence systems, sometimes they are part of their professional training, they will be abroad. I told my students, you can be there, they can attend my classes, I can schedule my class ahead. And I have to just send an email to them, they have to click on the link. And I can use the whiteboard with all facilities, all options in the virtual platform I can use. And I can record the class. This is the wonderful idea behind that, because we can record your class anytime. The students can again revisit the class. And one of the problems I felt, I am teaching in Oman for last 10 years in Thaniya Kulliya and Arabia, and always I felt that in the class they are asking questions, their participation, they are always either shy or hesitate to ask, which is less compared to my previous experience in my life. I was always encouraging them, but I felt that in the online classes they can ask questions, and I felt they are doing in a better way. And I can take the attendance and I make sure that they are attending the classes also. And this is some screenshot which from the VCQ, you can schedule your classes this way. And this is your platform, whiteboard, you can use everything, and you can enlarge your face or any other animations or media tools you can use in that. And this is my result. I am not claiming this result is only because of the video tutorials or online classes, because there is a difference in the midterm examination mark and the final examination mark. There is a bit difference in that. I think one of the reasons, I believe this is the reason, and I made a survey to my students, and I got a wonderful result. They all are interested in, they all feel happy about the video tutorials, and especially in the virtual classrooms. And again, it was motivated me, and this semester I'm using the video tutorial for another course, and I got 222 views within 10 days in YouTube, and I feel that this course is approximately around 80 students registered, and 222 views in 10 days, it's quite interesting for me, and I was encouraged, and I asked my fellow colleagues also, they can also use the video tutorial, and some of them are using it. These are some samples actually, and I asked our colleagues also just give some introduction in other courses also. And one of the challenges about this one, the bandwidth, and especially in the interior of Oman, still the bandwidth problem is there. We need a good bandwidth to implement all these things. And my recommendation, I think each tutor can enhance your LMS page with your own video tutorial. It is not recorded a class. It should be using any one of the software you can use. And you have to plan always short classes, because students, if they are in the party or something, even they can attend the class. They will feel interested to attend the classes. And other softwares are there. This whole, even Google Hangouts, On Air is totally free. You can use any of this one for the online classrooms, I mean like VCQ or anyone. And this is my conclusion. Web is an ocean. I think each tutors, we have to use it in a way to support our students, and technology is an ocean. If you can incorporate in a way, I think half of the problems of face-to-face tutorials, limitations of the traditional system, we can solve in blended learning. And definitely, I think maybe tomorrow's learning system will be blended learning, because we are not avoiding face-to-face. Face-to-face will be there. With the support of that, students will be feel interesting in also that. So I am planning my future plan. I would like to apply this to all my courses, and I'm sure we can have a wonderful experience in teaching and research. Thank you very much for your patience, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. الآن ننتقل إلى الورقة التالية، وهي الورقة الخاصة بالأستاذة أميرة فؤاد من كلية الدراسات اللغوية في الجامعة العربية المفتوحة في جمهورية مصر العربية. وورقتها تدور حول تعزيز كفاءة المحادثة في اللغة الإنجليزية عن طريق تقنية التعرف على الكلام. فتتفضل الأستاذة، تفضل.
That most of us are sleepy. Had I been in your shoes, I would have said, مين جاي اللي يكلمنا بعد الغداء, and so on and so forth. So يعني I'm just asking you to put up with me. I'll be very brief, and I hope you will enjoy the presentation. Now, as you can see, the presentation's title is Enhancing English Language Speaking Competency via Speech Recognition Technology. It sounds lengthy, and يعني, it has some terminology, but let me clarify this terminology so that you get to know that you're familiar with it. What speech recognition? We all had TOEFL exams, we all had IELTS exams, where there is a speaking question where you have to respond to a question. I mean, you give the response and you record that response, and other online live tutors or the machine itself corrects that response for you. So it's not that as complicated as it sounds. I'm a tutor, and it happened that I'm an English language tutor. And as most of us are teachers, we're mainly concerned with the three paradigms of the process of learning, which is KSA: knowledge, skills, and bravo, knowledge, skills, and attitude. Some of the courses that we teach end at the knowledge level. يعني there is no transferred skills. It's knowledge-based course. But as far as the English language is concerned, we're talking about skills and attitude if the language gives you the culture of the mother country, right? Now, I'm not clever at all at making bar charts, pie charts, or graphs or surveys, and the paper is mainly based on real daily observations in our classrooms. Let me set the scene for you. As an English language tutor, I teach English language where there are two main skills are stressed in our classrooms because we teach academic English. What are these skills? Reading and writing at the expense of speaking and listening. And poor students come to me and say, بكرة هناخد إيه؟ يعني هنتكلم will we have a speaking portion? لا. بكرة we'll continue our second reading, or we'll continue on the writing portion and so on. To the extent that I pity them sometimes and I say, طيب خلاص. I soften up in a way and say, I'll dedicate half of tomorrow's class to start conversation, discuss a related, I mean theme-related or unit-related topic where you can exchange information and talk freely. And I can correct your pronunciation and so on. So that's the real situation in our classrooms, right? So why am I here today? I'm here today to present that voice recognition system, which I explained at the very beginning, is a technological solution that would enhance learner speaking, pronunciation, accuracy, and competencies. Please don't do this. They will fall asleep. I'm fine with the light on. Please don't turn it down. Please. Okay. Please. Okay? So we're using this technology to support our students, and we have the LMS, the Learning Management System, صحيح? So we can really upload that technology, and it's not expensive technology at all. And we can help our students pronounce better, feel better about themselves because they have or they practice their speaking skills. But further, but how is that related to us? How is that related to our courses at the Arab Open Universities? As far as the English language, the academic English language or the prerequisite English courses, it's very much related, and I'll show you how. It's even further, it could be carried out to a specialization course, which is the E303, which is grammar in context, and I'll show you how. As I said, all the tutors, even the live tutors, I mean face-to-face tutors, are now rethinking how can we effectively enhance the speaking competencies for all our students. As I said, not the 4 skills could be optimized or enhanced equally to each student, because we have a discrepancy level in class. Even if the placement test gives the students a score to be placed in a specific level, we still have discrepancy among the levels of the students. Type. Reading and writing, as we said, is enhanced and stressed at the expense of the speaking and listening. Further, the face-to-face interaction, given the fact that we meet our students once a week or bi-weekly, is really minimized, and the number of learners in class and the time allocated for the tutorial is not that enough to accommodate all the responses of the students or to give the chance to all the students to speak freely, to correct for them the pronunciation, to give them at least the confidence to give a response. So the net result is speaking as a major communicative competency that is extremely important at the workplace is actually marginalized in language teaching. We're all responsible for these students. We cannot really think that, he can realize the P and the B, the F and the. He can write them, but he cannot really pronounce them, and he cannot utter them in a professional context. He cannot sustain a conversation at a professional context. He cannot sustain a conversation that even enables him to write effectively. How would I imagine that this person will do well at the interview? That this person will interact and do well at the job level or with his colleagues or workmates? We're all responsible for that. So how would we trace that solution? Which solution? The speech recognition. Speech recognition has been in use before even the 70s, but it was really on the scene, really on the floor, and people started to think about it and give efforts for the research of it. During the 70s, it appeared as a cutting edge to identify the text. You read the text, the device or the recording machine records your reading of the text, and then it corrects your pronunciation and even gives you a percentage of the accuracy of pronunciation. And I'll show you a video on that. So the technology also is the interface between you as a human and the computer. You give a response, but it's not a very passive response. Yani, you don't took the machine and then the machine records your response and that's it. No, it corrects your response as well. It also helps students to read out loud, so the students are endued with confidence and a visual representation of the voice pitch, the intonation, the pronunciation, the minimal pairs appear to the student in order to have a second turn, a third attempt, or a fourth attempt to correct his pronunciation. Some advanced voice recognition applications even make the learner practice pronunciation in communicative exercises, and that's what we want. We don't want to have a dull application. No, we can put an interactive application in the sense of how would you respond to that phone call? What would you say at the airport? How can you make a polite request? How can you, several responses and so on. And that's what we call interactive. One of the applications of voice recognition is that you give orders to the computer through your voice. The computer identified already البصمة الصوتية for you, your voice signature, and it can really carry out all the orders that you are giving. The most important factor is that each student is provided with a level-based feedback. We don't have a unified standardized thing. It's all tailored based on the input each student individually gives to the machine. Okay? Let's see how it works. It's a very short video that has an exercise and it shows you how it works. Should I say okay? Sorry.
Speech recognition system. A great number of exercises in the course are based on the speech recognition system, which is an integral part of the course. The buttons on the left-hand side of the window are used to play the model recording. As you click on the play button, you'll see a green progress bar appear below the text. Record your voice. As you read the text into a microphone, you'll see a red progress bar below the text. Next, play back your pronunciation. The percentage result shows how accurate you are in pronouncing the words. This exercise can be done as many times as necessary so as to get the best results. In this exercise, the speech recognition system helps you to check your ability to recognize and apply the rules governing the placement of stress in English. Each odd-numbered lesson in the course contains a page devoted solely to pronunciation practice. The stars beside each recorded sentence fill up and indicate your result. At the same time, a pronunciation diagram is displayed. It shows the percentage evaluation of each word of the phrase or sentence that was recorded. Additionally, speech analysis allows you to select words and phrases you want to practice yourself. This unique feature is described in the Learning Tools section.
Thank you so much. I hope you got something from the video because the volume was really turned down. But let me sum it up. You saw two kinds of activities, right? You have a button to submit your response, to record your response, and you have the facility to repeat the response as many times as you wish in order to get the accuracy that you wish. That was the first thing. And you're responding to a situation, you're reading the sentence. The second type of exercise that you saw shows where is the word stressed. Okay? If we have two syllables, words like confrontation, right? Am I right? And it can also work with minimal pairs like the pa and the ba, p and b, the tha and the tha. And you can work out, it gives you the percentage of your accuracy, and the star shows how accurate you were, how successful the attempt is. So you can repeat it as many times until you really master the correct pronunciation. That's how it works. How is that related to us? How is that related? I am escaping. Okay. How is that related, and how can we benefit from that as a direct application on our courses? As far as I am concerned, the EL 099 and the EL 111 and the EL 112 courses, which are the university requirement courses where we stress the reading and the writing, where we need to help our students in our speaking. We can really give them these exercises to respond to spoken exchanged conversations, greetings, apologies, compliments, invitations, any situation, any real life situation. Level-based authentic situations, topic-based minimal pairs, I mean the pah and the bah, fah, the diphthongs as well. Script and story reading, this is very beneficial for the short story course, telephone conversations, and presentations. There's another course that we can benefit from the voice recognition system in that course, the E303, which is grammar in context, where students are asked to transcribe naturally occurring speech in order to analyze features of the spoken language. They listen to a speech spoken out, and they had to analyze and dissect that speech according to the features, specific features of linguistics features of the language. Thank you so much.
نشكر الأستاذة أميرة فؤاد. الآن ننتقل إلى الورقة الأخيرة، وهي ورقة بعنوان استخدام الكمبيوتر في مقررات تطوير الكتابة، للأستاذ يوسف شدوح من دولة الكويت. طبعا الدكتور يوسف شدوح من الجامعة العربية المفتوحة فرع الكويت، سيتحدث عن تطبيقات في الحاسب الآلي في تنمية الفصول الخاصة، استخدام الكمبيوتر في مقررات تطوير الكتابة. صحيح دكتور؟ ايه تفضل دكتور.
Presentation is going to be about the application of computers in developmental writing classes. And as we may know, we have 4 skills in language acquisition: speaking, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So writing comes as the last skill. This presentation stems from a quantitative case study that focused on the learning experience of a writing class of freshmen in the English department in a Midwestern university in the United States. The class under discussion encompasses a spectrum of students of various proficiency levels. The class is taking this course via computer. What's meant here by the general term computer is the combination of word processing, the pre-packaged educational website called Blackboard. And Blackboard actually is applied in so many universities, which includes basically external links and discussion board. In our university, we use, of course, a similar system, which does almost the same job. Some questions that may come to mind are, what is special about computer-aided writing? The acronym is COW, classes, over traditional writing classes. What is the impact of computers on students' progress in writing in terms of pedagogy and fluency in language-related matters? Also, what is the impact of accessing the internet? And what extra merits can a computer add to the writing class that traditional class cannot add? How can we integrate computers into the curriculum of writing classes? In brief, this presentation is intended to show how and to what extent the application of computers in writing classes affects the progress and fluency of writing students. More specifically, it intends to show the effect of using the internet-based Blackboard platform, particularly the discussion board, email, and external links features. What's meant by Blackboard, for those who are not familiar with the term, is the software developed by universities to offer online courses to students It provides students with course-related information, such as announcements, course information, staff information, course documents, assignments, books, communication, discussion board, external links, and student tools. This is how it looks like. Once the professor applies this system, this is the front page where students can access the course. Now, three major types of interaction that constantly take place in a computer-aided writing class. And these are student-instructor interaction, student-student interaction, and student-content interaction. Now, table 1 below that I will show in a minute shows that there was a constant student-content interaction all through the course. It shows students' final grades, total number of accesses to the course web page, and total number of acts of writing. Writing actually started with what is called end product, where the professor gives the students a task. A week later, or in a fortnight, a couple of weeks, the students come back with their papers, and the student mark these papers. Then they move to the process approach, where the professor starts to care about the student and walk through the course with the student, going step by step. Then the next stage, which is the computer, as one of the keynote speakers mentioned, that now we are at level 3, where computer is applied, which is, again, a blend between the process approach, which is under the umbrella of constructivism. In this table, if we look at column 3, we'll see the total accesses that the students access the website of the course. So student number 1, 273 times accessed it. The acts of writing, yani this student wrote actually 29 times, and you keep going. So this indicates how many times a student practices actual writing in a course throughout a semester. Yani some of them wrote 42 times, and these 42 times are reviewed by the instructor, and the student is given feedback, and he worked on these actual drafts. Then he hands in the final clean copy at the end of the week or the semester. Table 5, they are not going in order, shows the types of and frequency of recurring mistakes in the students' papers and their multiple drafts. Students write three drafts: get first impression, second impression, and a final clean copy. Of course, it's not very clear, but at least gives us the gist of it. Types of mistakes are basically grammar and syntax, punctuation mistakes, missing word or wrong choice of word phrase, alternative word or expression, awkward expression sometimes, redundancy, and so on and so forth. These are basically the types of mistakes that students commit in such a class. Table 6, which will be shown in a second, shows categories of mistakes where the computer software was helpful or unhelpful. Here in this table, the one on the left actually, the software, a potential helper for the students. When it comes to grammar, the computer actually underlines in green the, let's say, structures that need revision at least. Some things related to syntax, which is the sentence structure. Things related to punctuation. Again, the computer helps in that. Missing word or word choice or word phrase, awkward or vague or incomplete structure, redundant word or sentence, spelling mistake, the computer helps in that. Proofreading, again, it is underlined in green, and the computer actually flags it for you. It needs revision. And also, if you write a fragment, the computer will not accept it. Meanwhile, there are areas where the computer cannot afford any help, like alternative word. Sometimes, actually, we go to the synonyms and we get an alternative word. Drawing attention due to lack of specific details. Sometimes the computer cannot help in this respect. Clarifying question. Sometimes, if you ask question, the computer cannot help in clarifying such a question. Transition from one sentence to another, especially in writing. You need to make a smooth transition to make your line of thought go in sequence and in logical way. Lack of clarifying examples. The computer cannot ask the writer to give examples to support an idea. Paragraphing, again, it cannot tell you where to start a new paragraph. And lack of topic sentence, again, computer cannot help in these areas. Internet-based courses can provide students with opportunities for. These are the advantages, actually, of applying computers in writing classes. Excellent environment like that of a well-equipped playground for players. The analogy between a well-equipped playground for players, exactly the same as a computer-aided writing classroom. Collaboration with other students, because writing and education should be reciprocal. It should be both ways. Students should help each other. And I mentioned earlier, student-student interaction, student-professor interaction, and student content interaction, because again, reading and writing go hand in hand. Basically, a good reader tends to be a good writer. Okay? Then student responsibility. Students actually become responsible from day one in a computer-aided classroom. This is your job. You have to do it yourself. You have external links where you can get to encyclopedias, dictionaries, references, whatever. Time management. They can write, if they are morning type of students, they can write in the morning. If they are evening, if they want late at night, anytime they can access the website of the course and the instructor 24 hours per day. Motivation and enjoyment of learning process. Development of computer skills. Actually, the students started to do their writing. Down the road, they become experts in using and handling the computer. Increase in writing efficiency. Their writing improves because they help each other. And because of the frequency of writing, they sometimes write 42 times instead of writing, let's say, 3 times per semester or 4 times. Timely chances for interaction between instructor, computer, material, and students. This figure 1, shows a pictorial image. And there are specialists in statistics here, so I shouldn't go into further details. Of estimated marginal means, it traces the student's progress in writing over time. If you go up there, the 70, actually, this is draft 1. And now, after they write this draft, they give it to the instructor, and the instructor gives them their first impression and feedback. And in writing 2, the mistakes drop to this level. And draft 3 drops to this level. So there is a remarkable drop, actually, in the slope of their performance. This, again, estimated marginal means of paper 2, because as I told you, they write 3 papers, each paper, 3 drafts, means 9 official writings. And again, it is the same. Paper 2, paper 1 was 70, now it drops to 40, then to this level, and third attempt to that level. So there's a trend in the drop of the number of mistakes. This is, again, in paper 3, it's pretty much the same. It is pretty much the same. They start at 40, then goes down to that, and the last one is close to little less than 20. Little less than 20. Of course, there's the question, there is no big difference between attempt 2 and attempt 3. That's reasonable. You know why? Because students basically depend on the feedback that's given to them by the professor. That fix this, and that. And they go ahead and fix that and hand it in. And that's why there is no big difference between draft 2 and draft 3. And now let's have a look at the following illustration to have an idea about some of the major processes the students writing apply when they write. Actually, I try to develop this. They start with invention. They invent ideas, then drafting, write a draft, then revision, then collaboration. Collaboration, they collaborate with each other. They help each other. Collaboration with the professor among the students themselves, then editing, then manuscript design. In the inner circle, we have planning. Then after planning, we have generating ideas. Then we have collecting and organizing information. Then we have locating, evaluating information, available online. In the middle, we have writing activities, writing strategies of the learners, pre-writing, that is the stages that, like brainstorming before writing. They depend also on the material that they read. They read material, a lot of material before they write about the topic under discussion, then revision, then editing, then publishing. Strengths and weaknesses of the course, the computer-aided course. Students' personal experiences with this writing course indicated that the areas of strength and weakness are as follows. Areas of strength: convenient, flexible communication, can be done on students' own time, any time of the day, because it is actually posted via the computer. Resources are available 24 hours, dictionaries, encyclopedias, reference books, whatever. Grammar books, constantly revised hard copies available to review away from the computer. If they are bored with the computer, then they can actually print out a hard copy and go to the coffee shop or wherever and revise them. External links connect you to related and helpful resources. Resources, you have actually a huge amount of data just a few clicks away. So you can consult these huge amounts of data. The instructor is accessible anytime, even during weekends. You send them an email, you post anything on the discussion board, and they respond. Not only the professor responds to your comments, actually the students themselves give valuable feedback via the discussion board. Helps students' personal growth. They grow actually from, let's say, 0.0, and by the end of the semester, they notice their progress and their growth. Independence and sense of responsibility. They are independent, they do it on their own, by themselves, and they are responsible for what they achieve and they write. Gives chance for individual talents to outreach knowledge. You know, the other speakers talk about individual differences. There are students who actually, they don't stop at a limit. They keep going. And these are outstanding students. Immediate feedback from the instructor and or classmates, because learning is reciprocal, as I mentioned earlier. Good platform for students who benefit from cooperative learning. I am a supporter of cooperative learning, where students help each other, where students edit each other. Actually, in this very course, students used to exchange screens. They write something on the computer, and then they exchange screens. One of the students edits the other, helps the other, teaches the other, which is a good strategy, actually. Easier to record, modify, re-modify, and build on earlier drafts. As I said, if you notice between draft 2 and 3, they build on the previous drafts. That's why they show improvement, hopefully real improvement in their second and third drafts. Handy and beneficial Microsoft Word features like spell check and grammar check and so on and so forth. Easier to manipulate texts. You know, in the old days, we used to write on paper, pen and paper. Nowadays, we use a computer. Internet puts immense amount of knowledge under students' disposal. So students are a few clicks away from those immense amounts of knowledge, which is absolutely true. Students have a dual benefit of face-to-face and computer-aided writing education, as they mentioned, which we apply in our university. It's a blended type of learning where we have a chance to interact via the computer and face-to-face. Students also feel themselves on task. And at the far end of the pool, we throw them to the deep end of the pool, and they do the swimming themselves from day one of the course. Computer-aided courses can take students as far as they can go, which is one of the tenets of education. Start with the students at their level and go with them as far as they can go. Don't stop at a certain limit. Keep going with those outstanding students. And computer-aided courses can help students cope with advancement of technology. Nowadays, using a computer means you are trendy, you are modern, you are coping up with technology. Easier to write more in number and bigger in size. Easier to avoid mechanical errors such as spelling mistakes and fragments. Easier to make use of helpful software and benefit from online communities of writers. you can, by the way, hook with other writers in other countries, in other universities. So this helps you a lot if you happen to contact these groups of writers anywhere in any corner of the world. Areas of weakness, the reported areas of weakness were few due to the fact that course was a combination of computer-aided and lecture type. They should be summarized as follows. The same as traditional writing courses, computer-aided writing courses cannot rule out the language barrier and individual differences among students. Wherever you go, you will find individual differences among students. Wherever you go, you will find language barrier. One of the keynote speakers mentioned online interaction. Sometimes students do not interact with you due to language barrier, due to their weakness in language. We insist on them to write in English, and they stop writing to you. Just because you insist on them to write to you in English. Sometimes they write to you in Arabic. I'm talking about English classes. Number two, students should not live under the illusion that computers can do the writing for them. Some people think that it has a magic stick, so the computer will do the writing. That is an illusion, of course. Computer cannot do the writing for you. Computer is a tool that helps you to write. A computer, the analogy, as I mentioned earlier, like a very well-equipped playground for players. And the playing is done by the players. Actually, the parable of a computer to students is no more than that of a very well-equipped playground for players. Recommendation suggestions, hopefully the last minute. Since computer-aided writing courses depend at present to a great extent on word processing and internet-based Blackboard and or similar software, instructors should be pretty sure that their students have an adequate and efficient knowledge in both areas they start the course. Writing should be viewed as a recursive process. Writing is one of the areas where you are not satisfied with one attempt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts. And as we saw, some students kept going. They did more than 42 attempts of writing. So it's recursive, and it is done fairly frequently. Actually, when students write, they go through a process of thinking, writing and revising, followed by more thinking, more writing, and more revising. When evaluating papers, instructors should evaluate writing as a part of a process. A part of a process. There is room for improvement all the time. So a student, if he doesn't do well in this attempt, next time he'll do better. Bring the attention of the student to these areas of weakness. Next time, he should overcome these areas and improve a little bit. So we should take that into consideration. Be aware of student reactions to your comments as an instructor and provide clear and helpful comments. Yesterday, the professor's workshop was about feedback. What type of feedback should be given to the students? Should be constructive all the time. It should be positive all the time. Multiple drafts allow instructors to diagnose students' writing problems and identify students who need additional help from a tutor on the writing center. And one last word about the writing center, which is highly recommended. There should be a center, no matter how small this center is, to help students to write. They should come to this center where they receive help from an expert, let's say from a graduate who's a good graduate who can help the students in this center. And computer writing courses excludes the possibility of single draft, as I mentioned earlier, assignments, last-minute term papers, and one-draft efforts. Computer-assisted writing courses are practically excellent scaffolds. They are like a scaffold for players for exclusively online courses, especially when we know that online courses are progressively and steadily gaining ground at the college level. And with this, I can conclude. Thank you so much for listening.
شكرا دكتور يوسف. طبعا نشكر حقيقة جميع المتحدثين على ما قدموا من إسهامات وأوراق في هذا المؤتمر، والتوصيات كذلك التي نرجو حقيقة من القائمين وعلى العملية التعليمية والتربوية الأخذ بهذه التوصيات والمقترحات بعين الاعتبار. نترك المجال الآن للمناقشة خلال 10 دقائق جدا. ناخذ حقيقة 3-4 متسائلين إذا أمكن. تفضل.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. عندي سؤال للأستاذة أميرة. تفضل إنجليزي يمكن. When you talk about speech recognition, of course that's copyrighted, you have to pay licenses. What's the cost of that, for instance? And then I have a question for Dr. Yusuf.
We have two very prominent, very famous ones. One is called IBM Via Voice, and the other one was, or is Dragon, Naturally Speaking. I think Dragon, the license itself is around $174. Best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Yusuf, did I hear you say that access to instructors is 24 hours a day?
Yes.
Wow. By the way, there are two things that come to mind as well using computers. Their impact on handwriting. I think it's a negative impact. People get accustomed to just typing, not writing. Second, when you say a computer can't write, there's the art of cut and paste, which is a very sophisticated and well-developed art. Just for your comment.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much for this comment. Actually, one of the concerns of linguists is that, especially in email and in using the mobile phones, that they don't pay attention to spelling, they don't pay attention to grammar, they write shorthand, and this is actually one of the concerns of linguists. Now we are talking about the optimum situation, where students follow all the rules and regulations of formal writing, not versus informal writing, okay? But when it comes to copy-paste, cut and paste, this is a different story, and if they are hopefully not plagiarizing material.
The benefit of using a dictionary, by the way, a hard copy dictionary, when you come across other words, and really it's much more enriching than just going,
you can do the same. Now you can just click the synonyms and see the alternatives.
Okay, but
so you have multiple choices among the
that's when you
synonyms.
Go into thesaurus, yes,
yeah.
Synonyms, but I still prefer a hard copy dictionary. I think it has a bigger impact in educating a person.
But now, as Dr. Fouad mentioned, now if you are in doubt about the pronunciation of word, these online dictionaries help you in pronunciation, help you in spelling, help you actually in the parts of speech, things related to grammar. So you learn a lot also. They are also invaluable.
Yes, Ella. تفضلي.
Actually, as an English, I used to be an English teacher. I used computer and writing sessions, but in simple way. And I found that my students were more attracted, more attracting, and they are motivating in using computer writing. Especially, computer will help them in correct and spellings and use synonyms rather than dictionaries. It's helped them a lot, and they gain more vocabularies. Thank you.
Computers. You are with the application of computers in classes.
What?
You are a supporter of applying computers in classes.
Yeah, actually my background is, I'm a teacher in English, but at the same time I studied information technology, so I did mix them up.
Yeah, it's gaining ground actually. Now, so many universities, especially in the States, it's like a paradigm shift. They are moving towards the application of computers in writing classes. Writing classes are not given anymore in traditional classrooms. They are given in a computer lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially in the last 10 years in the States.
Yes.
My name is Abdelwasi Noruddin. I'm a computer science student. The question I want to ask, you are talking about how to use computer to write English, but excuse me, sir, can you explain? Because there is a language that computer does not understand when you are writing, you know, because in a computer, we have a different language. We have assembly language, lower level language, high level language. But there is a language that computer does not understand, which we can use compiler to translate the language to the language that computer understands. But when you are writing, if you write something that computer does not understand, please, how can you correct the language and, you know, please, can you explain to us, please?
Your question to me, please?
Yeah, what do you say?
Yeah, if it's directed to me, yeah, this is related to software, and it needs a computer specialist or a computer engineer to take care of that.
I think his question is regarding the assembly language and other kind of language. That is entirely different. That is the programming side of the computer. And we are talking about the application level here. That is about the English language. We cannot compare these two. It's entirely different aspects. Because, you know, in the case of programming, microprocessor is converting using the compiler assembler. There is different applications. So what Dr. Yusuf is telling, the use of computers in English classes, how it can support the students in writing classes. So it's an application.
Okay, thank you. ناخذ آخر سؤال عشان الجلسة القادمة تبدأ. ناخذ بريك خلال ما بين الجلستين. آخر سؤال مع
Actually, I'd like to say thank you very much. It is good opportunity. But my question is for Dr. Dennis. I couldn't manage her name. I'm sorry about it. It's about feedback and PHP, MySQL, that stuff. Just I want to ask why she was, you know, what she did her project of this paper by PHP and MySQL. Why she didn't, you know, go for to Java or something else?
Sorry, it was Python.
Python or PHP?
Python.
Yeah.
Because the...
But why didn't go for PHP and MySQL? It's not open source.
The reason
it's
we
not
went
better
to
than...
Python, because the natural language processors use Python,
Yeah.
and their libraries are in Python.
Yes. Yeah.
So that we can actually draw on and rest on the shoulders of giants who've gone before us.
Yeah, and I think you use a three-tier architecture or entire architecture. You didn't mention any architecture, you know, it's entire architecture, three-tier architecture.
Sure, but
Yeah,
I was trying to talk about the visualization of the data in this 15 minutes.
Because
Please
more or less
forgive
we're
me
in the
if
same
you-
boat, because I work that a feedback system by PHP, but we did by Visual Basic, and yeah, I wish I could get a copy of your presentation. I'll be appreciated, and thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
أخيرا يطيب لي أن أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل إلى الأساتذة الذين تقدموا بهذه الورقة في هذه الجلسة، وكذلك الشكر موصول لكم جميعا على هذا الحضور والمشاركة، على أمل أن نلتقي إن شاء الله في مرات قادمة الجلسة القادمة بإذن الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you. Thanks, Dr.